What's up, y'all? Kalen here, aka Nilak the Prophet, doing another quick update about Passion, the album. On my way home from Nashville, and I just kind of wanted to make another video. So I want to talk specifically today about the title, Passion, and why that became the title. It didn't start out being called that. It kind of evolved into it. And so I want to give some insight into what that's all about and just how meticulous the decision to go with that title was, because it was a very like specific decision to go with that particular title. So initially the album was going to be called Love, because that was like the main part of the album, was just exploring relationships and exploring love and relationships and romance. And I just found, so a couple things. The album evolved. I had different ideas that were floating around and different song concepts and things that were coming up, and I just started feeling more and more pulled away from the love narrative and just being like, some of these songs don't really fit within that space. Like, I don't think this really contributes much to the theme of love and romance. I need something that's a little bit more broad but still kind of true to that same theme. And so I can't remember where it came from. I'm trying to remember at what point that idea and the name Passion came about. But honestly, I think it was just conversations, dude. During I think even last year, but the year before that, there were just all these conversations I was having with people about chasing your dreams and going after the things you aspire to do. And they kept using that word, passion, and what are you passionate about, Caleb? You should chase that. You should go with that. Ultimately, what you're going to school for, what you're seeing as a potential career, it should be guided by what you're passionate about, what you care about doing, what really fuels your desires. That's what you should chase. And even at church, we had a series at my church a couple of years ago that was called Holy Discontent. And that was the theme of that series as well, where we kind of went through the book of Nehemiah and just looked at how God had called Nehemiah to what he did, rebuilding the wall in Jerusalem. And again, the word passion just kept coming back up. And there was a class they had that was helping people determine their spiritual gifts. And so it was just the product of that 2016, 2017 era of just being told, hey man, chase your dreams, chase your passions, go after what you want to do. And again, that even contributed in the sense that I went to Belmont. When I made my decision to transfer, it was more of that same thing of man, forget what people are advising you to chase and do. You do what you feel compelled to go for and do. And so what I did shortly after making the final decision, I went to the library and I found a compact version of the Oxford English Dictionary, the OED, which is the definitive English dictionary of English in general, period. Doesn't matter what country you're in. That's kind of the official authority as far as the English language goes. It has the etymologies in it. It has the different transformations of the word and how it's changed over time, how it's been used. And so I went to the OED and I looked up the word passion, and I looked at all the different definitions that had been written in there, since the beginning of its usage. And even just where it was derived from, it comes from a Latin word, passio, I think, which, both passio and passion itself are derived from the idea of suffering and pain. And the earliest definition of passion is actually the Passion of the Christ. That's where it was earliest used, and it described pain and the suffering, and specifically the suffering and pain of Jesus Christ on the cross. And then it evolved into more of just general suffering, and then there was the passion of romance, passion of sex or whatever, and then also the passion of obviously kind of what we use it as today, where it's the drive to do something, the passion of something you care about. With all that in my mind, I wrote down each one of those definitions, and I said, I want this album to explore every single one of these at some point. And so, yeah, that's kind of where the title, and it's just so beautiful how that became the idea. It was all inclusive. The record explores every single one of those in some way. And we'll see, man. I'm excited. It's gonna be really cool. Just getting closer and closer to this release, and just all that's happening with the release. And yeah, so I'll try to keep doing these updates, but we'll see what happens.